First of all, I wanted to thank you, Michael, for being part of the Unlock interview feature section. Michael Lawrence is the CEO and founder of Bloqwork, and he's one of the first startups to bring blockchain and construction together. So we're happy to have you with us today, Michael.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
So Michael, for those that, I mean, you know, if you wanted, like, in a nutshell to tell an audience what Bloqwork is, what would you say?
Yeah, in a nutshell, it's a platform for sharing data across projects between the various project participants. At the moment, there are cloud-based platforms which do that, but by putting it onto the blockchain, then there are certain advantages created, and we get over a big problem we have within the construction field, which is the trust between the various project participants.
That's great. And Michael, you're based out of the UAE. Why did you choose to start from the UAE, and how do you see that relating to what's going on in the GCC region?
Well, it's really fortuitous because I'm based here in the UAE anyway, and my other business is in project and construction management and disputes and claims, which is based in the UAE. But there, in Dubai in particular, where I'm based, there is a shift of, in the government, a drive at the government level to push technology as one of the key drivers for the economy. So that, combined with the fact that there is a lot of construction happening here, I'm based here, pulling all of that together, you know, makes it a good location to push forward with this startup. That's
great. So, I mean, blockchain has been, you know, implemented in fintech and supply chain and in all various sectors. There's been some in construction, but not many. How well do you think this will work, and what's your offering?
I think the key thing with construction is that it's a very conservative industry. There's a growing use of digitalization, but there's also still, particularly in this region and many parts of the world, a lot of old-fashioned paper being passed between people. So you have to kind of tailor the offering and tailor what you're doing to that kind of potential customer, because there are startups looking at this sector, but they're kind of running before they can walk, because they're targeting future use and future technology, which will come to the sector. You know, I've no doubt that you know, that AI and the Internet of Things and all of these things will come to this sector. But perhaps, as in the past, not as quickly as with other sectors. So we're offering something which people would recognize as a project management information system, which has behind it the advantages of the Bloqwork, the blockchain. But it's not something that we know we're putting out front there, because people in the sector will just see blockchain as Bitcoin, and you know, will not perhaps appreciate the advantages. Better to sell what it can do and what the potential is, rather than talk about blockchain in construction.
Yes, I agree with you. So it's always better to look at what the solution you're providing and not the technology that goes into it. So in the end, I mean, Bloqwork, where are you today? I mean, you have a product, right? And where are you today? And what are you looking to have? What are you looking to achieve right now?
Right. So where we are today, we've been partnering with a technology, with a programming company that's been looking to get the basis for this, and also assist me because I'm from a construction background rather than a technology background. So I have a very keen interest in technology, but I don't profess to be a programmer. So I have a partner that's been looking at that end for me and drawing up wire diagrams and looking at user interfaces and things like that, in order that we can pull together a paper, to show a proof of concept. These days, perhaps with the blockchain being at the stage it is, proof of concept is perhaps something which really isn't required in many instances, because nowadays everybody knows the technology works, they know what it can do, and it's been applied in other industries, and it's just a question of applying it here. So the next step is to get an MVP, a minimum viable product, going. I have a technology provider who is supplying already a cloud-based solution. Mm-hmm. So we're currently working with them to pull that onto Hyperledger Fabric framework, so that we can then use that in the way that we want it to work as a blockchain-based platform.
That's interesting, because you're making it easier and acceptable for those in construction to use it, because it's Hyperledger Fabric, so it's permission-based. It's a blockchain as a software, so they don't have to make this huge initial investment, and in the end, it'll have a lot of benefits, right? Because how much efficiencies will this create, both in time, project management, and so forth? How do you see this improving the construction industry?
Well, there are some key issues which need to be covered. I mean, first of all, from a straightforward point of view to the individual project manager, the people on the project. At the moment, the platforms are provided by a third party on a software as a service type of offering, but they are supplied by a single vendor to one of the project participants, which might be the engineer, might be the employer, might be the contractor. And the problem with that is that whoever's supplying it then has to pay for everybody on the platform and all their data on the platform, and also has some potential control, and there are issues around the trust of one particular party having access to all the data and perhaps potentially being able to switch it on and off as they require it. So what that creates is a system where some of the project participants don't involve themselves on the platform because they're not invited, because you want to keep the data use down and keep the cost down, which is usually based on per participant and per data. So that's they want to keep that down and keep suppliers and subcontractors off the platform, which obviously means then that you don't have the benefits of it. And if the benefits overall accrue for the fact that you don't have this potential duplication of effort, because what happens now is that those which are not on the platform will be using their own sources of data, and even if they are on the platform, if they're not controlling it, they may be duplicating it. So that's another potential. There's those potential problems.
Okay, Michael. You also wouldn't, the future as well is not just like a data management kind of. You can add so many things onto the platform later on that can cover wider range, right?
That's right. That's right. The idea would be, from managing the day-to-day processes in construction, you can then eventually build on top of that a layer of smart contracts. There are people already looking at converting construction contracts into smart contract formats or parts of contracts. So you will be able to put those onto, add that layer onto the blockchain, which will then translate into authentication of inspections, for example, or payment to suppliers and subcontractors. So these are potential benefits. You also, within the construction industry, this question of trust is looked at from several different angles. I mean, the first thing is there's a lot of disputes in the industry, and so therefore authentication of data is important from that point of view as to what happened when and who gave what instruction when. Secondly, you have in construction a very big issues of provenance, as you do in other industries. And with construction, that converts into two potential scenarios. One is looking at the provenance of materials from a point of view of safety and ensuring that the materials you get at site comply with all the relevant standards. And secondly, through sustainability. Now it's becoming more and more common to have projects monitored and from a sustainability point of view, and various different systems of grading how green and how much carbon you're using to do the construction. So that again has to be traced through materials and where materials come from. So that is provenance, as you know, is a use case in blockchain with other industries, and so converting that to construction is a logical step.
Yes, it is. Michael, and just to wrap, because before we wrap up, because it's going to be, we're trying to make videos as concise as possible. I mean, immediately, what are you looking? Are you looking for investors? Are you looking for partners? I mean, you're participating at the GITEX in December. So yeah. What are you looking for exactly?
In the short term, there's a couple of things that we're looking for. Yes, we're looking for investment. We're also hoping that potentially, other technology partners could come on board with us and could perhaps look at offering their assistance in developing the project as an investment. That's one potential scenario. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we're looking for, that we're looking at is, and we're negotiating with one client to try and find projects to actually start using the system and demonstrating the effectiveness of it, so that we can then roll that out.
That's great. If you want to add anything before we end, before I wish you all the best of luck.
No, thanks very much for that, and I'm sure we'll be talking again to update you in the future on our development.
Yes, that we will all be looking forward, and as Unlock, we believe that the technologies, blockchain, AI, IoT, can all work together to help the world, and I think that what your project is one of them. So we will continue to cover you and continue to see how the steps that you take forward successfully. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.